How do some of the biggest creators in the world record high-quality content with remote guests? Riverside. With Riverside's remote recording online studio, you can record high-quality audio and video with guests and co-hosts from anywhere in the world. Riverside provides a simple and seamless way to connect with guests and record your episodes without sacrificing audio quality. Unlike traditional conference call tools, Riverside records directly to your computer, so you avoid a lot of those Wi-Fi glitches that other programs often have. Riverside also records in 4K video and with separate tracks, making sure that you and your guests sound clear with crisp video wherever it is in the world that you're recording. With this easy-to-use platform, you can schedule and manage your recordings with just a few clicks. Riverside uploads the full quality files directly to the cloud whilst you're recording, so these files are ready for you to edit and export just minutes after your recording is over. So whether you're looking to interview guests from around the world or collaborate with co-hosts in different locations, Riverside has everything you need to create a high-quality podcast that your listeners will love. So if you're podcasting or often getting interviewed, use our code UNBOX for a 20% discount at riverside.fm. Link is in the description box and the sign-up is free. Well, Taz, thank you so much for coming on Unboxed.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is really cool.
Not at all. I'm excited to talk about everything that you've done in what is a pretty long career now. I mean, obviously you started in 2012. So what made you want to start making content all the way back in 2012? The world was a very different place in 2012.
God, you make me feel so old now because I didn't think of it like that. Because when you're in it, you're just on a momentum and you don't think of it like, oh, it was such a long time ago. But yeah, you're right. It was a long time ago. I was like one of the first amongst my friends that discovered YouTube. I actually discovered it through like High School Musical fan edits. Like that's how I got into it.
As we all
and
did.
And that's how I really, so I discovered YouTube and I thought it was literally like opening yourself to a whole new world because you didn't know, like the fact that you didn't have to be on TV to be seen by people. You could just do it by yourself. And I think it was that generation where the British YouTubers were like really blowing up. And I think secretly everyone kind of wanted to be a YouTuber at that time. I didn't think it would actually happen, but I think that's when YouTube was having a big boom.
Yeah.
And it was so popular. And I think everyone just wanted to do that. And it seemed like a fun thing to do as a hobby. So, and it's really fun making videos and sharing yourself on the internet and having that kind of response back in that community. It was just like a really exciting, fun thing to do. I didn't think too long term about it. I just saw it as like a cool, fun thing to do.
I think a lot of people we've spoken to, right, we've been privileged enough to speak to a lot of creators who've gone through that same journey of basically starting out as a hobby. As I think most things which become big often do, right? They start out as something fun and then they end up going places that you never see coming. And I think for everyone on YouTube, it seems like 2012 to sort of 2015, that period, obviously before, people didn't know where it could go, but obviously it led to so many amazing things for a lot of incredible creators. 2015 seemed like a pretty big kind of pivot point. And, you put out a video which was incredibly moving and obviously got an incredible reaction with I Hate Myself, right, which was obviously very powerful. And it hit over 1 million views. Like, what was it like to kind of go from the content you started off making to then putting something like that out, which obviously was so moving and resonated with so many people?
I wish I had this like profound, deep answer to this, but literally it was just happenstance. Like none of that was planned. Like when you think, because I wanted to be like a YouTuber like Zoella and like the happy-go-lucky, hey guys. So you never think like the one that's gonna blow up is the one that,
Yeah.
the one that I genuinely thought no one's gonna watch this because it's the most, it's quite a sad, depressing, I'm literally just telling the whole world I don't like myself. So you don't think, and also poetry wasn't like mainstream. It wasn't like the cool thing to do. And I had been making content that was more like vlogger content before that. And that's what I wanted. And that's what I've reverted back to now. And that's always what I wanted to do. I wanted to make positive, lighthearted, funny content. But what happened, the truth was I had graduated from university. I was going through an existential crisis and my channel wasn't that big at the time. So I genuinely didn't think anyone would see it. That's the honest truth. Like, I don't even know if I'd post something like that now. Like, I don't think I'd have the confidence because now I know people will watch it. I don't think I could do that now. So it's like, looking back, people are like, oh, you're so brave. So I was like, I just genuinely didn't think anyone would watch it. And then it just ended up being this beautiful thing that took me by surprise that people resonate with it. But a lot of it was basically I was really struggling mental health wise. And my friend introduced me to spoken word poetry the night before. She was like, just check this out.
Oh, wow. You really got into it then.
Yeah, this is what I mean by it was complete happenstance. Like, I was never into poetry growing up. I was never good with talking about my feelings. Like, I literally mean, it literally came out of nowhere. And so my friend introduced me to spoken word poetry, and I got really into it. And I watched so many of them online. And then I wrote something in like 30 minutes that night, which was that poem. And I literally wrote one take, 30 minutes.
Pretty vulnerable, that. Talk about vulnerability, like be showing someone your poetry.
I don't think it was the vulnerability. I thought it was going to be like just cringe.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, it's like it's pretty exposing putting your poetry out there. Like, for
it
anyone.
could be a bit like, like the main spoken word poetry example I saw before all this was, 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been that kind of scenario. You know what I mean? It could have been so bad.
I'm interested. Like, did that, and obviously as we move forward, but did that video and the response you get, did it provide any insight into how your audience was sort of connecting with you, or did it kind of change your perception about, the way that you came across to your audience, or the relationship that your audience had with you after seeing that response and probably being quite surprised by it, right?
100%. I think it provided me with so much. I think it helped me grow so much in terms of, like, now, 10 years later, or however many years later, I'm such a big advocate for authenticity, where right now I can sit here and be like, this is who I am. I don't feel the need to force it. I'm not, all that. And I'm 100% just feel just calm and present in myself. And I think going through that poetry stage really helped me with that, because once you put all that out, right?
Nothing else to hide, right?
But what I was surprised by was the amount of love that I got back. Because you hear a lot, and I'm so grateful this hasn't been my experience. You hear a lot, especially with female creators, how being online can be quite toxic. They get a lot of like criticism. You can be quite subconscious. You could deal with a lot of hate and a lot of judgment. I don't know how. I genuinely don't know how. I got very, very, very lucky. But like, I've always met with so much love. I feel like almost with my channel, I'll be honest, I think it's almost like people believed in me before I did. And I got to where I am because other people were showing me the love. So when I put that out, I just got so much love back that it made me, I feel like people taught me to accept myself and be more myself. Yeah. And that's such a cool thing that you can have from people. Like, I learned to love myself because other people were showing it to me first. And like, it's kind of ironic because it started with the video, I hate myself. But through that, people showed me to love myself. And now I'm like the happiest and most content I've ever been. And that was through online. And I think sometimes online, it can get such a bad rep because it can be a toxic place. It can be, and it's hard to navigate. But I feel like in my little corner, I've been very, very lucky that people have been so kind and gracious with me. I don't know why. None of it still makes sense. I can't explain that bit. I think the main thing is it was so natural. It just happened. Like, I put the poetry because I just felt like that. People on the other side of the world somehow connected with it. And it was just a very human thing. And I think that's what I love about YouTube is, like, at the end of the day, you can make it seem all like, what's the strategy, what's the analytics and all that. But at the end of the day, it's one human connected with another human. And if you can do that through the medium of video, like, what a beautiful thing that is. And mine just happened to be poetry at that time.
Yeah.
It's cool.
No, I love it. And you just said there, how you're the most content and happy you are now. And obviously I'd love to know, like, how has social media kind of changed your life? I mean, it seems like it's been like everything, but how has it had an impact on you?
Literally everything. I know that's such a thing, but literally everything. Like, it's given me a sense of purpose. I feel like I have a voice. I have an impact. I found like something that truly, and that's really hard, right? To find something like, I feel like it's made my 20s. I mean, it's been quite a while, right? There's so much that's happened, but like, I have the dream job. I get to do what I want whenever I want. I'm surrounded by, because of this job, I'm now surrounded by people who are like-minded, who I can learn and grow from. I just feel like mentally fulfilled. Yeah, I'm just like living my dream life. And that's all thanks to YouTube. When you feel like you're accepted as a human by people, that's like the ultimate release, right? When you can show up every day just as you are, it doesn't get much better than that, because you don't have to, you just feel like just existing is enough. And a lot of so many people can't say that. And I went through my whole life trying to people please, trying to prove my worth, so when you get to a point when it's like this, you really do appreciate it.
Like, what things in your life would you say have kind of helped to shape that journey alongside YouTube? What things maybe led to you wanting to people please that now you've been able to kind of overcome that and you're a lot more confident? What different things have happened, and have happened as you've been kind of going through the last 10 years, for example? What things have sort of helped to shape that change?
A lot of people, maybe this is the people that I've just been speaking to, we kind of have people-pleasing tendencies because we're almost like conditioned to think that way. Like if you look at our education and schooling, you're basically taught you need to change your behavior to please the employment world or your teachers or, you know what I mean? So you're kind of ingrained into your brain. You're not taught to think for yourself, right?
Yeah,
so it's
100%.
natural that when you go into the real world, that's all you know. It's like, how can I please someone else? It's such a privilege to have the time to learn about yourself and figure yourself out. That's a massive privilege. If you're trying to pay the bills and you've got like a 9-to-5 job, and then after that you're tired and you think about stress and all that, when do you have time to just like shut off to just gonna go learn about myself? It's like, I don't have the luxury of that. I'm too busy stressed. My job now, I guess in my 20s, I basically just got to try a bunch of different things and learn about myself. And every time you put yourself out of your comfort zone, you learn about yourself. And I think self-growth and self-confidence comes from overcoming something.
Yep.
So if I've done 10 years of constantly, like, whether it's like even doing this podcast right now and talking about something or going on stage and performing poetry or doing poetry online or solo traveling. And I do that consistently, like every new video is like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Next thing. So I've had consistently been constantly challenging myself all the time to the point where now I don't think twice about it. I can talk and I feel like I used to be really like self-conscious, introvert, like I literally hated myself. But all I did now I feel like I could go up to someone and just start a conversation and build rapport, or I could go traveling by myself somewhere else and like I might not get it right and things might go wrong, but I have this like inner thing of like, I've overcome so much at the point, it just feels more natural. And I think it is a skill. And I've been given the time because it's my job. And I've been given the space because everyone online has been so encouraged and supported. Like, I feel like people online in my videos, they want to see my potential. They want to see my growth. They've been supporting me so how nice is that? Not only do I have the time and the privilege, but people also hold my hand and encourage me through it. Like, literally hit the lottery. I cannot.
And actually, I'd imagine a lot of that comes because you were so open and honest with people. Probably like in that video, right? Like that was probably, I'd imagine, a big turning point. Obviously, you look back and I'd imagine they maybe want to go back there. But just piecing it together, it feels like because you were so honest, real, vulnerable, and you gave yourself to everybody very openly, actually the relationship that you built with your community was based on something a bit deeper, and people have championed you all the way through because they know that you've been willing to actually share yourself honestly with people, and that honesty is rare, right? Not everyone can do that, and that's almost the distinction between people, I think, who really drive that connection, is having that openness, that honesty with people, with the good stuff as well as the bad.
I mean, you put it way more nicer than I would have thought about it. Because to me, I didn't think about it like that. Because sometimes you're just like living in the moment. But maybe that is what it is. I never thought about it like that. Because to me, I think I am quite a sensitive human. So to me, it's just my natural state. It's not like I'm thinking about like, if I open up, I think I'm just a very open in that way. But I feel like I held back on that because it was seen as, because my background was in law and you can't be, so you can't be really sensitive and because that's seen as like weak. You got to be stoic and you got to be like on it all the time. And that clearly wasn't my personality. So I was thinking the opposite. I was like, you can't show, but you got to be like, to show that you're capable and good at your job kind of thing. So I always saw it as like a weak thing, but then I guess you can't fight who you are. I am a sensitive human. And so I just did that. And I think honestly, it just all happened quite naturally. I think what I've learned through doing YouTube for so many years is ultimately people just want human connection. They want to feel that. And that could be through poetry, that could be through a funny video, that could be in so many different ways. But I think what we as a society are really craving is human connection. Yeah.
A question I had, actually, you mentioned about some of the experiences you've been able to do so many things. Like, what are some of the most defining like stories or moments throughout your journey where you go, yeah, like that was when you were in law, or like you're studying law, doing what you would just never have thought that you'd be doing whatever that thing is. What are some of those moments for you?
So many things, all of it. But I think the one I'm most proud of, because it's just crazy to say, I have been working with UNICEF on their mental health campaign for the past couple of years. And it's a global campaign. And it's so crazy to me because we were on a Zoom call with them and they were saying how they're going to introduce a new mental health campaign called On My Mind. And it was very new for them. It was the first year they were doing it. And I just said, oh, what's it about? It's about family. And I just pitched them very in the moment. Oh, I have maybe a poem about this and you know what, things like that. And then they ran with it, and they wanted me to be part of it. And like, they put me in like the global campaign, and the video went like viral. It was done in so many different languages all around the world, and it had been a huge thing. And it's like UNICEF. I think a lot of the other examples is more like how I personally grew. So like, just to give you a little context, like, a year, like when I was younger, I felt very invisible. I wanted to hide. If there was a conversation, I didn't feel like I had anything to say to contribute. So I would just be quiet, really self-conscious, low self-esteem, all that fun stuff. So now it feels really cool to be in a point where, I solo travel, which I never thought I could do. I live by myself in London. And like, I'm way more independent, way more confident, but also that meeting lots of different people. The world feels a lot smaller, and it feels like this mentality of like anything can happen and you could do whatever you want. And I know that's not a small answer, but it was because of so many different events that led to that.
So one thing that you've spoken about, and I think you talked about it through this as well a little bit, is like you put a lot of pressure on yourself when you were younger, right? So you were saying about school and everything else. Do you still feel that pressure now at all as an adult and as a creator who obviously is independent, running your own business, etc.? Do you still feel that kind of ingrained pressure from maybe the trauma of the education system, if you will, to operate at a certain level all the time?
Short answer is yes. I think as a human, you're always going to feel pressure. When you're part of a society, you'd have to be... I don't understand how you could not feel pressure when you're part of a society that's ingrained in that system. But what I'll say is my relationship with pressure, that's what's changed. Right. So before I felt very inadequate and I didn't feel like I could handle I think it's, as you get older, you get better handling the pressure. You get better skill sets, you grow in those areas. And like, so yes, I still feel pressure and also a lot of that pressure is self-inflicted because I always want to do better. Especially in this job, you can never get comfortable.
Yeah.
You can never. So if you feel no pressure, I don't think that even makes sense in this kind of job. I think it's a confidence thing. Now I'm like, before I was like, if something was wrong, I was like, oh, I'm bad at this. Whereas now I'd be like, okay, I don't understand this. So let me learn. I want to learn. Whereas I didn't have that kind of confidence younger. I would be like, well, I must be bad at this. Why would I do public speaking? I'm bad at this. Whereas like, I don't know if I'm good at public speaking, but I kind of want to try it out to see what I can learn from it. And okay, that didn't go that well, but let me try it again. Again, and that kind of thing.
It's amazing that something like YouTube and obviously you having the relationship with your audience and putting out content that's kind of helped shape so much of your own sort of self-confidence. That's pretty incredible. And I've got a question as well. So around, if you were to meet someone on the street, I'm sure you have done before, and they were to look up at your career and say, I would love to do what you've done, what would be your sort of central big advice to them?
YouTubers do get this question a lot. And one thing that I've noticed they'll say is like, oh, I really want to do YouTube, but I don't know what to post, which I've never understood. And a lot of creators hear that a lot and they're just like, so what I would say is figure out what your why is. And that's for anything in life. Like really go into deep and be like, why do you want to do it? Because if you can't answer the why, you're going to really struggle in this job because sometimes it's going to feel like a job. Sometimes it's going to feel like everyone's watching you. Everyone's like going to be criticizing you, judging you. Sometimes your videos are going to flop. Sometimes you can put a lot of work into it and it won't be good. And the only thing that'll keep you going in those moments is your why.
What's your why?
I love human connection. I love people. I love storytelling. I love the fact that I can come up with an idea in my head, put it into some form, whether that's poetry, and someone somewhere else will feel something from it. Whether that's making them sad, happy, making them think in a different way. That feeling, whatever that word is very addictive to me. And it's like I lose interest in things all the time. I struggle with committing to things. And this is the only thing in my life that I'm like, I'm still just as passionate about it as I was from day one. And I find so many different mediums to do that. Like I am not a confident person in terms of public speaking, right? But I wouldn't say I'm into public speaking, but I love the fact that if I go on stage and if I perform this in a certain way with the right intonations and pause at the right places and all that, someone somewhere in the audience will feel something from that. And that feeling, whatever that is like so addictive.
Yeah. And also I wanted to ask, for those people who are struggling with self-confidence or who have struggled with self-confidence, and obviously you've been able to, none of us have overcome it 100%, but you've managed to do an amazing job in overcoming that, right? So what would be your advice to somebody who maybe came up to you, maybe that same person? I want to follow your career and also, I've been struggling with self-confidence. What would you say to them in terms of overcoming that?
Sometimes we need good people around us to build that self-confidence. But the only way you're going to find the right people is by first showing up as yourself first. If you're constantly masking and you're not showing up as your true self, there's no way you're going to find, how are they going to find you if you're not even being that person? So sometimes, as brutal as it is, you have to have this delusional self-belief in yourself. Because when I first started with YouTube, it was embarrassing. It was cringe. No one was watching, but I still had to show up every day. And only then did I find the people that were saying, I see you, I hear you, I'm going to support you. But if I didn't do that in the beginning, I would never have found those people. And then it was just like a snowball effect. They encourage me. That makes me want to be myself more. They encourage me and I start doing more. And it's like a snowball effect. But initially, you just got to do it. It's everything in life. If you want something enough, it's going to be uncomfortable. I think sometimes people wait to be ready, which is like the biggest myth. There's no such thing as being ready. You become ready by, you got to do it and then learn from it. And so the initial thing is I don't know if people, this is how I feel. I feel like inside I always knew who I was. I just wanted her to come out. So I feel like people they know who they are, but they're scared of judgment. And my thing is, you're going to get judged anyway. You only live one life. Wouldn't you rather just find the people, or use mine as an example if you want? Like I used to hate myself and now look sometimes I say this to myself. I'm like, imagine if I didn't just have that delusional self-belief and I didn't just go for it. I would never have known that I was capable of the things I was capable of, because I never thought I was capable of those things. It just sort of happened. So just use that as an example of like, you never know what will happen if you did it. And who cares? Like, I never even think about the people that, like, it never crosses my mind, the people that judge me. Because I'm around amazing people and my life's really like cool. You don't even think about those people afterwards. You just gotta think about yourself more than other people.
That's amazing. Right, so to wrap up, I've got three final questions for you. So the first one is, where do you see this creator space, this creator economy, where do you see it moving?
Oh, that's a big one, isn't it? Okay, so what I've seen the trend now is going more towards authenticity, like we said. I think, because it started off YouTube with authenticity, just people in their bedroom, and then it went high production. And I think now it's coming back to authenticity where people just want to see real people. And it's like much more like the kind of conversations people are having are much more like in depth, like about self-help and self-aware. And you hear things about like, boundaries and mental health and like these kind of terminologies that I didn't hear growing up. That wasn't a thing. So I think people are trying to, and like podcasts is so much bigger now, right? Why is it so big? Because people want to hear people in a more in-depth way. So I think it's what people are looking for. Like they can see right through fakeness and glossy stuff. I think what they're trying to see is that kind of authentic human connection. So I think we'll see more of that, but maybe in a bigger way. So like podcasts, like let's say Diary of a CEO is a good example, right? It's a well-produced show, but why are people watching is because of that authenticity. So maybe seeing that authenticity, but on a bigger scale kind of thing.
Very good. And where do you see your channels going next? Like what's next for you on a personal level?
This question every YouTuber dreads. Oh, maybe they don't. Yeah. I think it's more about the scale of it. So I want to do what I am right now, but just on bigger scales of like, I want to meet people. Like I like the human connection aspect, but maybe through traveling to more countries and having more enriching experiences and putting that in better storytelling. I think I want to do more poetry as well and bring that back, but in a way that's more consistent, and maybe in a way that's more different to how I first started out, which was like just me crying to a camera in my bedroom, but doing it in a more like, I don't know, maybe with better storytelling or something. So it's basically, it comes down to my why of like, I want to connect with humans, but just finding different ways of doing that. Yeah.
Love it. And who is your favorite creator at the moment?
I think right now, I mean, it has to be Max Fosh, because the guy is an absolute legend. I feel like he is like single-handedly shaping YouTube right now. He's doing like incredible things, and it's so nice to see. First of all, it's nice to see that in Max, because when I first met him, he was like, he is genuinely the nicest human you can meet. Like, so you couldn't have asked for it to happen to a better person. And it's so nice to watch creators that you're inspired by, because when you do for a while, you can get jaded, right? And then every now and again, you'll see a creator and be like, this is why we do YouTube. And this is, and like, he's doing it at such a crazy scale on such a consistent level. That in itself is inspiring.
Amazing. Love it. Well, Taz, I was so far. I'm sure we could speak all day, to be honest. There's so much. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been amazing hearing about everything you're doing, and keep smashing it. It's super inspiring to see. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been really lovely. Thank you.